Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 2068. I'm with Meredith.
Hello.
Hello. So we're doing your contest prep diet check-in, and we're at 16 weeks out. It's getting serious.
It's getting real.
So 16 weeks is kind of like...
It's
like a normal...
That's the normal-ish.
Yeah, so we started early because we said we wanted to kind of get more consistency with food. We were coming out of some life stress and chaos, so it was a good way to kind of prepare your metabolism, prepare your mind before things had to all of a sudden be, 100%.
Overnight.
Yeah. So that was a very good idea. I think it's been going really well. We've made a lot of progress so far. This week we have lost weight again. I forget the exact amount. I'd have to look it up. We just measured it this morning.
You said 0.9 pounds.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
2.2 pounds from yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why was, you want to touch base on why yesterday was so high? It would have been the 2 days leading to
Yeah. So yesterday was high because Rob was sick. And not...
Yes.
Yeah. Rob had... we didn't know what was wrong, so we hightailed it to urgent care. And he's doing okay now.
Yes, I'm alive, so I'm back to making podcasts.
But it was pretty scaly.
No.
Yeah, and didn't sleep a lot.
No.
And then you had hiccups for 48 hours.
Yes, which is very hard to sleep with hiccups.
Oh, I felt so bad.
So we were going to like every doctor, texting everyone we knew.
Yeah, first time we tried acupuncture, either of us.
Yeah, gosh, I just that was exhausting.
So desperate because you hadn't slept for days, and then you had hiccups started the second you tried to fall asleep.
Yes, it was pretty wicked.
So pretty desperate to try and get you to sleeping and back on track. So acupuncture it was.
Yeah. Now your food over those 2 days was actually correct, but it was in weird timing.
Really,
nowhere near the hydration you'd normally have because we were driving everywhere, and it's
stress.
Hades degrees? Is that the degrees it is in Charlotte now? Like infinite?
The app I use is the forecast.
Oh yes, that's funny. App.
So it gives you lots of inappropriate weather terminology because it's so hot outside.
Yes, it is a gajillion degrees. Yeah. So very dehydrated driving everywhere.
Driving all over, not sleeping. Yeah. Stressed out of my mind. Worried. So all of that. It's interesting that we got to see the impact of that being so measured.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't want to step on the scale yesterday.
Yeah.
I did. I'm glad I did. But I knew it was going to be inaccurate.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it represents water fluctuations, which would be related to cortisol and different like water consumption.
Yeah.
But I think that's partly why people get scared of the scale is they don't understand that the scale measures anything and everything relating to your weight, which is going to be, for most people, what varies is actually water retention, not body fat. So you're not gaining 2 pounds of fat in one day. That's actually physiologically impossible. You could eat 2 pounds of excess food and have that in your bowels, but you're not going to form fat from that. Right. Yes. So it's cool to see when we're tracking numbers as often as we are, like how varied it can be, but yet the trend is what we're looking for.
Right.
The trend over time.
Line.
Yeah.
It's also just interesting when you said that so many folks tie scale, weight, fat.
No.
Scale, weight, fat. Like there's no other factor. There's no other. It doesn't mean anything else, and it's so far from the truth. It's
interesting. Like I don't. I'm sure if we sat here and kind of nitpicked, we could come up with some ideas, and I'm not opposed to doing that. But it seems to be a universal thing of humans who know what a weight scale is tend to believe that it is a 100% definitive measurement of body fat.
Right.
And in no way whatsoever is it.
Right.
And no one I've ever talked to, like when I was getting into all this, there was no internet, so I was reading magazines and stuff. And then when internet started coming out, it was very high-level professionals. So the information was really good because those were the only ones who had websites and could pay for access to all this stuff. Yeah. So you would, I learned about the scale as a marker of data that you would track along with nutrition adherence. How well is your training progressing? Are you getting stronger? Are you measuring body parts? It was just one of a bunch of data points. And then over time, it became kind of the thing. And I don't know, like for you as a female, do you believe that there's a specific reason why you have it, like women in general have it connected? Like
yeah.
Okay.
To see a lot of posts, follow a lot of body positivity pages and accounts, and they'll keep flashing back and showing old commercials or old shows of. At one point they made, I think it was like Victoria Beckham get on a scale, or it was somebody else on a talk show.
Just bones, basically.
And all like Cosmo, Shape, all of the, like Mary Claire, what are some of the other ones? Glamour. They all of the articles were lose 5 pounds in 1 week, lose 2 pounds. And it was, I feel like I could still picture, it's like a picture of a scale and someone standing on it with a yellow tape measure and like grapes. Like it was always so weird and random.
That's actually, that's a perfect image, because that sums up all of them.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was...
Eat healthy, have grapes for breakfast.
It was always weight, pounds, lose 5 pounds. What do you weigh? And I mean, growing up in late 90s, early 2000s, that was, all the supermodels and Victoria's Secret angels and everything being such a focus on weight and thin and skinny.
Yeah. There was definitely a culture of thin was in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were no acceptable curves back then. It was like basically you had to be a stick
waif,
or you were fat.
Right.
Yeah, and it's crazy, unfortunately, because genetic bone structure alone, some women do just have narrow shoulders, wider hips. So we coach people for aesthetic competitions, and there are women who want to do NPC bikini. And can anyone do it? Sure. If you want to place first, there's a certain anatomy that is just going to work or not going to work.
Right.
And you can do natural, like drug-tested ones, and they're a little more allowance of differences in hips and shoulder structures. But NPC bikini, I mean, you got to have the narrowest hips in the world.
Narrow.
And relatively wide shoulders, actually.
Yeah, it's
for
changed
your bone
a lot.
structure.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's interesting is...
and they look great, just not a lot of people are built like that.
There's just sometimes people will be like, hey, can I do this? And I'm like, yes, but you might not place well because you might want to have that look, but your body's only going to have this version of that look. You're probably not going to have that, like this certain version. Yeah, so, for example, I'm 6 foot tall. I would love to be eventually 300 pounds. Like right now, I'm in the low 290s. I might have always loved World's Strongest Man. Do I look like a 6 foot tall version of, say, Brian Shaw? I would love to think so. Probably relatively close. But am I ever going to be a 6'8" version of Brian Shaw? No, I'm not going to be. Can't be 6'8". Like, no matter what I do, no matter what in the world I can do. So sometimes bone anatomy and our bone structure, somebody can look like their version of something, but they can't look like that thing if that thing has a different bone structure.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. But I think that's interesting is when things switched from magazines to now introducing internet to now introducing supplements became a multi-billion-dollar market. Then all of a sudden you could ship supplements to your house. So the desire for companies to create a demand for a product was definitely linked with the growth of weight tied in with self-value.
Yep.
And that would be a marketing ploy.
Huge industry.
Yeah.
That's never gone away. It's never died.
Oh, it's not going anywhere anytime soon either.
I know. It needs to die. But.
Yes. But that's something that I think is helpful for people who check in on this podcast. They can hear your journey of weight change and how we do consider it, but we don't freak out. Like if your weight went up 2 pounds yesterday, all of a sudden we didn't eat nothing and do 5 hours of cardio.
True.
No.
I've lived that. I've done that.
A lot of people do that. Yeah.
So bad.
And what I always remind myself is, have I had anything outside of the norm that would contribute to my weight being outside of the norm?
Right. You have to flip to the logical.
Yes.
There's no physiological way.
Yes. So then it also tells me then what to do as a response. So if I'm like, oh, okay, I was sick for 2 days. I didn't have my normal amount of food. If I'm down in weight or up in weight, because my goal is to gain weight sometimes. So if I'm down in weight, that can be depressing. Just like somebody being overweight can be depressing.
Up in weight, it's depressing.
Yeah. So what I usually look at is, okay, has something been out of the norm before I make an adjustment, let me get back to norm.
Right.
Let me get back to the norm for 3, 4, 5 days, see where I'm at, and then I would make an adjustment. So I always try to get back to normal before I would consider making an adjustment.
Which brings us back to what we did the first few weeks of the prep.
Yeah, just normalize it.
Normalize, baseline.
Exactly.
And it takes time.
Yeah. But you've been kicking butt, doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Doing my best.
Hey, you're doing wonderful. Yes. And then, so this week, I did want to touch on you started running as of yesterday.
As of yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I used to run, train for marathon. I did a 17-mile Tough Mudder. I was a sprinter in high school. I taught coached sprinters when I was a teacher. So it isn't my first rodeo running.
No.
But, yeah, I got new sneakers and decided to run in addition to get some extra cardio in after some.
So you got a new running partner, not me.
Yeah.
Yes, so Daisy.
Daisy.
Yeah, Daisy's a beautiful doggo.
Yeah.
Now, what is she a mix of again?
She's a mix of Pit Bull Terrier and Lab.
And cute.
And
just all
cute.
100% cute.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she's a great running buddy.
Yeah. She do well with you?
She did. She stayed right to my side.
That's cute.
Stopped for potty a couple times. But Yep, she kept pace and came home and crashed.
Yeah, yes.
Flopped on the
tire.
Trying
to wear her out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, something that was fun was we were talking yesterday about what people might think about adding running to a contest prep. Like, is that going to waste away muscle tissue?
Yeah, because I asked you that.
Yeah. And the answer is no. The amount that we're running, like, you might end up running in total for a whole week, maybe 4 miles, 5, maybe 6 miles.
Right.
If we were running, say 3, 4 miles at a clip, you're getting 10 plus miles a week. Then you do start kind of basically our recovery capacity is limited per week based on genetics, food, sleep, supplements, a whole bunch of other stuff. And then our recovery capacity is also connected with our adaptation capacity. So how much can I improve from what I do? So not only can I recover for what I'm doing, but how can I make improvements from what I'm doing? So if we're lifting weights to build muscle, we have to make sure that there's adequate protein and adequate carbs and fats for that protein synthesis, the muscle creation to happen. If we add in cardio as a way to just kind of help manage overall activity, but it doesn't take away from the muscle building process, no worries. It's just like daily step count. Just another thing you do that kind of keeps you active and up and moving. It can even help digestion. It can help a lot of good things.
Yeah.
But if we were to run to a degree in which it starts to take away from the body's ability to adapt from our weight training, we would have to say, hey, what is my season of life right now? Am I a runner right now, or am I building muscle right now? And if it's building muscle, contest prep, you got to bring the running down. Yeah. So you can definitely include running, but it can't be to a volume or intensity that starts to take away from the muscle recovery and muscle adaptation from training.
Yeah, and it's just, I have to measure it. I think it's probably only a mile and a half.
I was going to say, I thought it was like maybe a smidge over a mile. Yeah, okay.
So that's good enough, right?
Oh, yeah.
Run, walk a little bit when she stops, and then keep jogging.
Yeah.
Run is a loose term.
Yeah, but I like it. Like, it's fun because we talk about when you get ready for a contest, there's a couple of tools in your tool belt. One is nutrition. One is calorie burning via weight training and muscle recovery demand. And then cardio. So cardio is one of the tools. So cardio doesn't have to be an hour on a step mill. It doesn't have to be a 10-degree incline staring at nothingness on a treadmill. It can be running. Yeah. So if we're going to increase your daily activity, it can be done via step count. It can be done via adding jogging. It could be step mill if you want to. It could be treadmill if you want to. It could be a bike if you want to. Like one of my clients has, they were CrossFit Games athletes, so they have like the Ski Erg bike plus the Rogue Echo bike plus the Assault bike. They have like 7,000 bikes, and we just rotate through those. But they like it because like the Concept 2 bike has a desktop on it, so they'll just ride and do a little computer work. But like the Assault bike, they try to murder themselves. So we vary the cardio quite a bit, and I think having people realizing that that's allowed could be pretty awesome. It's pretty freeing to realize it can be more variety.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Knowing you have some flexibility in it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be the exact same thing every day, because then that's monotonous. It's like your diet being the exact same.
Yeah.
Like when people ask me, "Oh, are you, eating nothing already?"
Oh, everybody already thinks you're not eating carbs. They're like, "Oh, so she had to give up carbs." I'm like, no, like she's not, like, we're not going. You can do it keto, but good God, I have done it, and I've had clients do, like, we've had clients do keto. It's just a lot of people don't need to do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't enjoy it.
No.
So certainly at 16 weeks out, there's no way in hell you need to be doing keto if you don't want to be doing keto.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're, which is good. That'll segue nicely into our diet.
Yeah.
So Rob mentioned that my diet's going to be changing.
Yes.
And then we said, oh, let's not talk about it too much. Let's just talk about it live.
Yeah.
Do it live.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll go through that. So I'm going to take this in kind of meal by meal, so it's so the numbers and the food in total is easier for everyone to listen to. And then also on social media, on our Instagram page, you can find us under the name Brutal Iron Gym. Whenever I post this podcast, I'll post images of what her Meredith's current diet is, so people can see that. So what I have listed for us now is, in total, we're eating around 2,050 calories with 160 grams of protein. That puts us at 31% protein. The reason why 31% protein is of note is typically a good contest prep diet that provides enough protein for muscle synthesis, muscle growth, muscle repair, but enough carbs and fats to where you're not downgrading your metabolism. Yeah. Protein is going to be around 35%. So you can actually have it anywhere from 25 to 35%. 25 would be as if somebody's super active. I mean, like on their feet literally all day, nonstop. They would need more carbs and fats, even if their goal is deficit and cutting. So like I have an apple farmer who consumes, he consumes 20 times his body weight in calories. Wow. So if he weighs 150, times that by 20, that's how many calories he eats a day. Wow. And he actually is shredded. 6-pack abs. Yeah. And then you have some clients where they'll eat their body weight times 13, and that's actually enough. Like, that's sufficient because their activity level is low. So the 25 to 35% is just a general range. I tend to always push things to the edge of what we can do. Yeah. So, because I know you have very good tolerance for, if you start to get hungry, you can go grab some cinnamon gum. If you get hungry, you start to figure out how to spread your meals more apart. Yeah. So you adapt well to where if somebody doesn't have the ability to adapt in those ways, I have to be a little more cautious with how I approach their diet.
That's true.
So with yours right now, 2,050 calories, 31% protein, I would like to, when we make adjustments, stay somewhere between 30 to 35.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking to do. Now, if we look at our meals, the first meal that I have broken down into a section is breakfast. And that is our bagel sandwich, which is a Canyon gluten-free bagel. It's, I believe it's brown rice flour. So it's a gluten-free bagel. We do a little bit of butter, a little bit of sugar-free jelly, and then you microwave one whole egg, plop that in the middle.
Delicious.
Eat it up. Yeah.
Delicious.
It's very warm. That egg is like still kind of runny. Oh, that's a good one.
It's heaven. It's heaven.
Yes. Now that...
It's early in the morning.
Yes, it's true. And I like that because like having a warm meal at the beginning of the days, I tend to actually like to end my days with warm meals.
Yeah.
So back when I was training 60 plus hours a week, even if it was 1 in the morning, I'd stay up and cook steak and rice because I just wanted to eat something that tastes good that day. I was tired of drinking shakes and eating cold food all day. Yeah. So that sandwich is 350 calories, only 10 grams of protein. We offset the low protein by pairing it with a core power drink. A core power drink is a kind of like a chocolate milk drink that's high in protein. And it is 170 calories with 26 grams of protein. So that meal in total is 520 calories, 36 grams of protein.
That's what we're doing going forward?
This is what our current meal is.
Oh.
So like
because of the core power later in the day.
Yeah, you have your core power later, but I pair them together.
Oh, smart.
Statistically wise.
Okay.
Because I knew we were going to be making the adjustments I'm making today at week 24. So I planned ahead. So what that does is that meal equates to, let's just round some stuff up a little bit, about 500 calories, 35 grams of protein. It's 27% protein. Okay. Now, if we want our daily average ending value to be around 30 to 35%, it doesn't mean that every meal needs to be 35% protein.
Right.
There are actually benefits to where some meals will be higher and some meals will be lower. The breakfast is an example where it's a benefit if the meal is actually a little bit lower in protein percentage, because you want to wake up in the day and we want to give your body fuel.
Right.
Fuel is carbs and fats, not protein.
True.
Whereas at the end of the day, I would actually rather my ending meal be higher in protein,
right,
because I don't really need a lot of fuel the last 2 or 3 hours before I go to bed. So I would actually be okay with the breakfast meal being a lower protein percentage, and then offsetting that by making the last meal of the day a higher protein percentage, so we still end up in that range that we like.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the other components that I'll factor in when I'm thinking through this with clients is, you like these foods?
I do.
Yeah. If you can start someone's day with food that they like, their consistency and adherence to the diet skyrockets. If the first thing they have to eat is something they don't like, they tend to put it off, or they tend to kind of eat some of it, throw some of it away.
Yeah.
Or they're like, this is just awful, I get burned out several weeks into the diet, and it's because the original issue was they didn't like breakfast.
Yeah.
But it becomes, now I kind of like don't like training. Now I don't like doing this. Now it's just more stuff I don't like.
It feeds into
yes, absolutely.
Habits. I can see that.
Yeah, so given our target and our goal so far, what we discussed is, if you like your bagel sandwich and core power, we can keep it.
Okay.
Would you prefer to make a change to those?
Like,
are you tired of them?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay, then we're going to leave those alone.
Okay, great.
Cool. The next section we have is daily snacks. And this is your 3 cheese sticks and your Bobos.
Yeah.
Bobos. So the Bobos are, it's like an oats type snack. It's think of it's like a granola bar, but like jelly inside of it. So it's like, now the daily snack is 3 cheese sticks. Now these are light cheese sticks. So they're not fat free, but they're like low fat.
Yeah.
So the cheese sticks are 135 calories, 15 grams of protein. The Bobos are 140 calories, only 2 grams of protein. So that daily snacks is 275 calories, 17 grams of protein, only 24% protein percentage. This is a space.
So we'll trade out the Bobo.
Is where we would drop something.
Make a swap.
What we want to do here is, if I'm feeding the person carbs and fats, like energy for breakfast, I now, if I want to push for more weight loss, I want that breakfast to digest and not be as replaced. So let's say, for example, to make things easier, I'm eating 300 calories of energy for breakfast, and then 3 hours later I'm eating another 300 calories of energy. I want to have more of a deficit. So I would either make that time space further apart, so 300 then 4 hours, then 300, or I would do 300 3 hours, then only 200. You've got to bring that down a bit. You've got to create more of a deficit.
Yeah.
So what we can do with this is, I would prefer that, well, actually we can do it a couple different ways. Yeah, that would be the easiest thing would be to drop the Bobo.
That's what I would do.
Okay. Because the Bobo is pure energy. If it's only 140 calories and 2 grams of protein, it's not contributing jack crap to protein. So it's going to be energy, and if we're needing to create a greater energy deficit, that's a very easy drop.
Or just scrap.
Easy drop.
Yeah, scrap.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make that note on my phone,
okay.
So that way I don't lose track of what we're talking about.
And then the cheese sticks, the 3 of them, do you, in your mind, do I eat them all together at the same time? I usually do.
Yes. This is a great question. Is when we're talking about contest prep, timing of food makes an enormous difference for body composition.
Yes.
Ridiculously so. And also cortisol control. So intermittent fasting is a diet structure in which you don't eat the majority of the day, you kind of eat in one large kind of window. Can people diet for contests doing intermittent fasting? Yes. Have people done it successfully? Yes. Have I found that that's the overwhelming best way for people to do it? Hell no. It just isn't. Right. Most people are going to have very low energy. The way they'll compensate with that is a very high amount of caffeine. That then jacks up their sleep schedule, and it starts to create cortisol problems.
Yeah.
So then whenever they miss their window for any reason whatsoever, or when they're getting into their window, if they can't control themselves, say during their 6-hour window, they're only supposed to have 1,200 calories. They are so damn hungry by the time that comes, they overshoot. Yeah. And then they're like, damn, And what I find is it makes food more pressured, more important, more sensitive, and it heightens this anxiety around food. So I'm not a big fan of intermittent fasting. I like kind of grazing throughout the day, eating multiple meals, because if I'm 30 minutes late because of a meeting, oh well. It's like I don't feel this pressure. If I have a kid's event that shows up, or a friend is asking me to go somewhere and it's in the middle of my feeding window, you have no choice. You can't do whatever the hell that is. If you're doing a contest prep, contest's got to come first.
Yeah.
So if your kid has an event and it's in the middle of your window, you're either taking your food with you to the event, or you're not going to the kid's event.
You're either eating tilapia in the audience.
Yes.
Making friends.
Yeah, or you're getting rid of the kid. But there's so much pressure when it comes with timing. So I like having the open time. So getting back to your question of, do the cheese sticks have to be eaten together? My answer would be I would try to.
Yeah.
Because even though it has a small amount of energy, it's only 135 calories. That's still 135 calories. That's still something that if we misallocate that, if we put it too close to another meal, it might create too much of a surplus in one moment. Right. If we have it too far from another meal, it might create too much of a deficit. So let's say, for example, you normally eat at 7 a.m. and at 10. And all of a sudden you don't eat till 11 or 11:30. Then you're going to find out that you're going to really have struggle not to overeat in the afternoon. And it's like, man, if I just move that 11 to 10, I have no cravings in the afternoon whatsoever.
That's why we talked about that in that one podcast where I ate my food out of order.
Yes.
And I forget why, and I was like, oh my God, this feels so different.
Yeah, you had to eat
not
your food.
Not a fan.
Yes.
Didn't like it.
Yeah, but that was how cool was that you could feel.
It was wild.
The such drastic difference. Because what's sub-layered under this, and we haven't talked about it yet because there's too many things to talk about one thing, is the digestion rate of all these.
Right.
So I have the digestion rate of all your foods timed correctly. To where when you eat at the beginning of the day, it digests faster to lead you into your next meal, to create the deficit that we want leading throughout the day. If you flip the meals, they digest slower and it doesn't create the same deficit.
So wild.
So all this is layered. Wild. Yeah, like we're not even going to get to talk about all the things that are in this diet, which is neat.
Yeah.
But so that's what I would do for the daily snacks is I would drop the Bobos.
Yep.
So that's going to wipe out 140 calories, 2 grams of protein. Who
Save
cares?
on the grocery bill.
Yeah, well, yeah, true, because those little suckers are expensive.
Yeah.
So then next thing we have is lunch. Our lunch is 6 ounces of chicken. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's great. So 6 ounces of chicken, and then half a box of Bonza pasta, which is chickpea pasta.
Yeah, people's minds are going to be blown. Half a box of pasta?
Yes, half a box of pasta, yeah, which is actually really good volume.
It's real. It's
yeah, your lunch is like two of my fists worth of food.
More than that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then right now we have it mixed with vodka sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that meal is 686 calories, 62 grams of protein, 36% protein.
Good.
Spot on, perfect. Nothing needs to change in that meal. Now, I will ask, do you want anything to change? Like, are you tired of that food? Do you want anything different?
I'm not tired of it.
Okay.
I like it.
Then we're going to leave it.
Okay.
So there's no point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's going to, and I'm going to have to redo some math here at the end.
Sure.
While you yip chat a little bit. So that's a couple adjustments we made. Now we're leading into dinner. And so far what we've done is we've dropped 140 calories out of our day, only 2 grams of protein, that's negligible. So we said that when we started the discussion, you're eating around 2,050 calories.
Right.
I would like to get us down about 10% from that.
Okay.
So that's 200 calories. So I'd like to get us between 1,800 and 1,850. So that means we're looking to drop 200 to 250. We just took away 140 so far.
Okay.
So we have 100 calories yet that we have to get rid of.
So we'll take that out of the rice.
So that's what we're going to look to do. Yep.
Right.
So our dinner is 6 ounces of chicken, half a pouch of microwavable rice.
Yeah.
And then you're having 2 kind of tablespoons of
shrimp sauce
on it. Yeah. So right now that's giving us 576 calories with 45 grams of protein, and that's 31% protein. Pretty good.
That's good.
We like that. Now the downside is we do have to get rid of 100 calories yet. So what we're looking at is we're not going to get rid of protein. So we're not going to ever get rid of chicken. So we can't get rid of that. So the things that are giving us energy in that meal are the rice and the shrimp sauce. So we can modify those 2 elements in any way. that brings 100 calories out. So the rice, half a pouch of rice, is only 240 calories. If you were to go down to like a quarter pouch of rice, you might as well not even be eating it.
I was going to say not even.
Because it's ridiculous.
So I can swap Frank's Red Hot for the shrimp sauce.
Yeah, so let's talk through the options. I like this. So option 1 is drop the shrimp sauce for Frank's Red Hot. Frank's Red Hot, I believe, has like very little to any calories.
It's like Tabasco.
Yeah. So the shrimp sauce right now is equating to 150 calories. Oh, so that would be perfect. So that gets us rid of, like, that gets us into our window that we want.
Okay, so I keep the volume.
So
like the volume of the chicken and the rice.
Yeah, so that's one option, is you would keep the chicken and the rice and go from a calorie-containing sauce to a calorie-free sauce. Mm-hmm. Boom. Another option would be I feel as though 6 ounces of chicken and a half a pouch of rice, man, I'm going to eat that in like 30 minutes. I'm going to be hungry. So people might find that volume's too small. So what you could do is you could exchange the rice, which is 240 calories for a half a pouch, for vegetables. Which, to get 240 calories out of vegetables, you might end up having to have like 3 cups of certain vegetables, depending on the type of vegetable. So then all of a sudden your volume goes sky high.
Yeah.
So then you feel more full at the end of that meal. It's still going to burn off pretty quick. But hopefully you can go to bed before that kind of happens.
Yeah.
But that tends to be a psychological thing. So if I'm coming into dinner and I'm already stuffed for the day, I've been eating all day, last thing I want to do is eat even more food, chicken, rice, boom, done. Small volume. However, if you get to the end of the day and you're like, man, I'm starving and I want to be able to eat something, you could swap the rice for, say, 240 calories worth of asparagus and broccoli or stuff like that, and all of a sudden you got a pretty large meal.
Sounds delicious.
Yes. So that is the other option. So for you right now, we can kind of pick either one and say that that's what we're going to do, but we can try either one. But that's what I would tell clients is you can modify the volume of a meal depending on how hungry you feel. So if you feel stuffed all the time, pick foods that are more nutriently dense. You don't need as much of them. Yeah. And then you can go right through your food. Doesn't feel like you're eating all day. However, if you feel like you're eating nothing all day, pick foods that are horrible nutrient density. So like go eat like 1,000 calories of celery. Good luck. You'd be eating all day. You'd never get there. So you can modify volume without changing calories. And a lot of people don't realize that. So for you, do you feel at the end of the day currently that the 6 ounces of chicken and the half pouch of rice is a good volume?
I mean, what's funny that you ask, because it's what I need to eat. So
you're like, I don't even know. It's not registering.
Right. Awesome. Like I don't let myself think about whether I'm hungry or not.
Yes. Well, what's
because
good
it's what I need to do.
I love that. That's number one, is you just have the mindset of, if this is what I'm doing, I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Number two is, apparently it's not that bad.
Right, because otherwise I would be like...
You would know it.
And I've known. So that's a good point.
Yeah, because when we switched the food order that day, you sure as hell knew that we felt
freaking starving.
Yes. So that would be the two options we're going to leave for ourselves.
Now I could...
Oh, go ahead.
Now assume... So shrimp sauce being removed is the change. Can I... And I think I know the answer, but could I, depending on the day... I can either choose rice one night or a lot of veggies the next night.
Hell yeah.
I can alternate it.
Yep. Yeah. Tomato banana, as we jokingly say.
Tomato banana.
Yeah, which means the same thing, which clearly isn't, but that's an inside joke. So, yes. So one day, if you're in a rush, you're like, man, I don't want to sit here all eating, I'm tired, I just want to go to bed. I'm going to do the chicken, half pouch of rice, eat it and be done. Yeah. Or if you're like, hey, I kind of want to sit and watch a movie, maybe watch a show. I'd like to have something to kind of nibble on. Let me replace the rice with some vegetables. Yes.
I love
you
can
veggies. Get crunchy carrots and there are ways to make vegetables. You could eat raw
veggies versus cooked.
Yes, and that gives you consistency differences. And a lot of times people they like crunching on pretzels because it's a crunchy. You can swap that out. And I know carrots are not the same as pretzels. But if you're trying to make a nutrition if you're trying to make a nutrition choice and saying, okay, I want a positive change, but I don't want to be 100% miserable. What is something that's in the middle?
Where can I be 75% miserable?
Yes, and that's carrots instead of pretzels. So with carrots, you can be 75% miserable.
Apparently that line is carrots.
Yes, there's their tagline.
Wait, is it what are the microwavable veggies I like? Bird's eye?
Yeah, Bird's Eye does that.
Steam in a bag?
Yeah, steam in a bag. Those are wonderful.
Delicious.
Yeah, like for example, peas.
Easy.
Like you can eat a ton of peas for 240 calories.
That's true. On my former diet, I couldn't have carrots or peas because they were too starchy.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I know.
Yeah. So.
I mean, peas and carrots. I mean, that phrase doesn't exist for no reason.
Yeah. Find me somebody who's
delicious.
fat from eating peas and carrots.
Show me your fat fruit friends.
Yeah, like we said, Nate Bargatze.
Someone was eating fruit around me, like picking fruit around me, and they're like, "Don't judge me." I said, "Are you freaking?" I lost my shit. I lost my shit, and I think they were like, "Oh, I didn't think that was going to
Meredith
set
has
her
buttons."
off." I pushed a button. I found the button. I'm like, "Oh my god, eat the freaking strawberries!" Like I just.
Yeah, like fruit is not going to be why people are fat. Now, if they're eating fruit but not eating enough protein in their day. So I joked earlier about grapes for breakfast being healthy. And that was a joke because it's not healthy, by the way. Yeah. And the reason why I would say it's not healthy is typically the people who eat grapes for breakfast are under eating everything. They're eating like maybe 1,000 calories a day, and that's not going to be enough for metabolism, and they're not eating anywhere near enough protein.
I remember middle school. I don't remember what I had for breakfast on those days, but I would pack a Dannon Light and Fit.
Oh yeah.
Or a Yoplait yogurt that was like 100 calories.
Yep.
And a piece of fruit and like a granola bar, and that was it.
Oof.
Like,
yeah.
That was
carb.
The magazine told me to eat that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, when you're down in Miami, you have fruit for breakfast, but you also have the 2 RX bars.
The RX bars are great.
Yeah, because it's good protein.
Right.
So we're not against fruit, no way whatsoever. I mean, I actually still eat fruit. When we were down in Miami, I got a whole to-go box of strawberries.
We were so excited. To-go box of strawberries.
It was delicious. Those things are so damn expensive. I normally never eat them.
I know, it was delicious.
Yeah. So, but
I'm going to plug Driscoll's out there for Vincent, Atul, and Alex, my group mates, Carluccio.
Yeah.
We had a case where somehow, tangentially, we were talking about Driscoll strawberries, which wasn't in the case.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, anyway.
Well, there you go.
There we go.
Delicious.
Hi, Team J.
Yeah. But yeah, so you can have fruit as a part of a full diet, and a diet meaning sufficient calories for actual living and protein. Like you actually have to have enough protein.
Food for life.
Yeah, food for life. Because like one of my clients, one of the clients that we work with, she has called herself skinny fat, so I can say that. And no one even knows who I'm talking about, but she's called herself skinny fat. But where she's under muscled.
Yeah.
And that's why she appears soft. And part of the reason is she struggles with only 800 calories a day, and the average protein intake is between 40 to 60 grams.
Wait,
that's it.
Struggles with 800 calories a day.
She can barely eat that.
She can't eat past 800 calories a day?
No, she's not hungry enough for it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so not hungry enough for 800 calories a day, and average is only 40 to 60 grams of protein a day. Shoulder problem, kind of always bugs her, never really heals because there's nothing to heal it with. And then just under muscled, which makes her appear soft, which then people think is fat. So she would think that she's fat. The problem is she actually just doesn't have enough muscle tissue, and it's because she's chronically on the go. She's a hyperactive human, so needing to prioritize herself has been the big key. And she has a family and kids, and one of those high achievers. So So I understand it. We understand the mindset 100%. But at the same time is, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
I was just going to say
that. Yeah. So she's in her 40s, and if we don't make some changes now, I mean, that shoulder is only going to get worse. Hip's going to start getting worse. Posture's, I'm sure, going to shit from sitting at the desk all day. And things are just not going to get better. But that's a case where somebody, if they're like, I had grapes for breakfast, I would tell that person that was not enough.
Right.
So we're not opposed to fruit. It's just it has to be part of a whole scheme of what's going on.
A plan.
Yes.
And you have to be intentional. If you're going to eat the grapes, be intentional about the grapes.
Yeah, and eat some protein later in the day, eat some other stuff. Because we work with vegans and vegetarians. Like, you don't have to eat meat, but you still got to get some protein in there. There's tons of non-animal proteins.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So it's just trying to find ways to get that in. But in her case she would literally she's a decision away from the life she wants. She's not choosing herself.
Everybody's a decision away.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's literally all she has to do is decide that I matter, and I'm now going to make choices that take my health into consideration.
I mean, there's times where you and I are reasonably so dead exhausted from whatever we had to do, and it's okay, instead of chicken breast on Instacart, order a roast chicken.
We'll just order roast chicken because I'm too damn tired to cook.
Yeah, reasonable. So there's little things like that.
Yeah, and people DoorDash. I mean, I know it's very expensive and it can be a waste of money, but at the end of the day, if like I'm either going to spend twice the amount. Yeah, you talk about the wedding one?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sure.
That was the one time we DoorDashed.
Yeah, that was one time.
Are you redoing food math when I tell a story?
Oh yeah, you do that when I tell a story.
So we, there's a lot of podcasts we can tie back to getting ready for our wedding, but to sum it up, we got married on New Year's Eve, 2020, so December 31st, 2020. My mother had a stroke mid-September. We moved her from the Northeast to South Carolina in November, and we still got married in December. So we did not take care of ourselves very much. We planned our wedding in 2 weeks. We walked into Michael's and said, whatever we can grab in 2 hours or less is what we're going to have. And we had 2 carts and 1 trip, and we were done. And that's what we used for wedding. So all of this to say, we got to where we were staying for our wedding and realized we didn't have any food. We didn't go grocery shopping. Nothing was open. So we DoorDashed Chipotle.
Yes.
And I think, about $150 worth of Chipotle?
Oh, it was absolutely insane. It was so stupidly expensive.
It was so expensive. The fees were like, whatever it is.
Yes.
It was expensive, but it was glorious.
It was definitely needed.
Yeah, but that's been the one time we DoorDash.
Yeah,
in all of the years together.
Because I was like, good God, I'm going to be putting this on my credit card.
Yeah, it was so much food.
It was like, holy crap.
Yeah, and then I had to shove rice in my face the whole day of the wedding.
Oh yeah, because you were trying to dry out.
I was a water balloon.
Because all the cortisol and crazy stress we've been through.
Yeah, so that's our DoorDash story. So there's a time and a place.
Yes.
For DoorDash.
But yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
So while you were doing that, I did the food math. So
drum roll.
With the changes that we decided to make, we're actually a smidge under in our calories. Okay. So we dropped a little extra calories. I'm actually going to be okay with it because I'm not the one. I'm not the one eating it. But the reason why is if I make a little bit, like it's an extra 35 calories. Okay. So if I drop an extra 35 calories from what I had planned, we'll get an initial jump this first week. And then that might be able to ride us out a couple extra, like we might actually get an extra week or 2 out of it before we have to make another change.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then plus, we're making this change because we know that in order for us to continue to lose weight on a certain rate, this change needs to be made. But we're not making it out of desperation.
No.
Like, we're not making it out of desperation. You're not, like, starving to death every day. So if we take an extra 35 calories away, it's not bad. Assuming, like, if you were talking about somebody who's struggling right now, and they're like, I'm barely like surviving here, we would not want to take anything extra away that we didn't have to.
No, move more. Maybe.
Yeah, so we would modify it to where we actually wouldn't have to take away as food at all. Like you said, maybe trying to move more.
Yeah, and when I was telling folks about how many calories I was currently eating, up to today or tomorrow, whenever that starts, but saying, we cut my calories. I'm about 2,050 now. I'm just shocked. That's about how much I consume per day, not cutting, and male.
Yeah, true. And it was a male. Yes.
Yeah, and I said, well, it's interesting that Rob's magic and can fix your metabolism because I'm eating 2,050 calories on a competition diet.
Yeah. We started at 2,400 calories.
Unheard of.
And you lost weight. You got leaner. You got leaner. Yep. And then we dropped to 2050. The weight started coming down.
Yep.
And now we're going to be dropping down. The ending numbers, by the way, is going to be 1,767 calories. Okay. And that's going to definitely drop us in a good way. Protein is 158.
Oh, good.
So our protein percentage is 35%.
Boom.
Brrring.
Look at you.
Hey-o. Yes.
Look at you knowing what you're doing.
Yeah. So very happy with those changes.
Good.
So what that's going to do is what I would look for is... from the coach's perspective and what the person eating can expect. The first couple of days, your body will notice it. When you're dropping down, like we're going to drop down basically
300.
Yeah, roughly 300 calories, like 290
You're going
calories.
to feel it. I'm going to feel that.
Yeah, so you're going to notice it. So what I would encourage the person to do is to space the meals as perfectly as possible to mitigate extremes and deficits.
Okay.
So time it out to where you spread it out throughout the day as properly as you can. Number 2 is to be mindful that it's going to come. So think of alternative things than just eating. So be like, okay, I'm probably going to be a little hungry in the afternoon. When I have a phone call at 2, let me walk while I talk. If I sit and talk, I'm going to get sleepy. I'm going to start to look for things to keep me awake. But if I can walk and talk, great. If I can do a standing desk, great. If I can chew on some cinnamon gum, maybe not during a phone call, but great. So trying to find things, like you've been drinking some diet soda, which is great because the carbonation of soda creates a fullness in the stomach. Yeah. And that in no way whatsoever hinders fat loss. No worries. So that is one way to give you a momentary difference in how empty the stomach feels.
Right.
And so I would know that it's coming and think of ideas on what I can do when that comes rather than freak out and eat.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exciting.
I'm excited for you because I know this is going to be another good jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many pounds am I down since the beginning?
Since the beginning? Like from our all-time high? Because when we first started, we actually initially gained weight.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So from the all-time high.
Okay, from the all-time high, you are down 10 pounds.
Wow.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah, so 10 pounds in, what are we at, 8 weeks? But what that is, so somebody might think of that, this is going to be funny, not to rain on your parade, but some people might think 10 pounds in 8 weeks is not enough. But it is plenty. And especially considering the first couple weeks, we said we were normalizing. Yeah. We were resetting glycogen levels. We talked all about that in those podcasts. So you can go back and listen to the first weeks. Weeks 24, 23, 22. Yeah. And what we like about it is like we can physically see the changes.
I was going to say I can see the changes now.
Yeah, you can physically see them when you're just standing, especially when you're working out now. You can see the definition up the side of the leg. The split between the quadricep and hamstring is coming out. Separation between the hamstrings is coming out. Your calves are looking gnarly, which is awesome.
Gnarly.
Yeah. So we know that we're seeing progress.
Yeah.
Well, the scale's coming down. Your energy is still feeling great. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to make the next change because it's going to continue to push fat loss, which we know still needs to happen. But we're doing it at a rate that feels maintainable. You're not ready to murder anyone yet. You don't feel like you want to quit. Like, we're not reeling into a lot of the emotional, mental stress that people typically run into.
Right.
So I'm very happy for you.
Yeah. I was just very stressed when you were very sick.
Oh, yeah. That's
this last week had me a little worried. I mean, granted, I was only worried once everything calmed down. Like, in the moment, it was like nothing else mattered other than making sure you were okay.
Yeah. I don't get sick too often, but when I get sick, my body decides to, go psycho.
Yeah. It's interesting. Mm-hmm. It's been interesting to watch.
Yes. So, but that was fun. So thank you for everybody for listening along. Hopefully that was interesting to hear the discussion.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So awesome. And then this upcoming week, we're gonna make those food changes. Keep lifting weights. Run with the dog if you want. Step count. We're still aiming for around 5,000 a day.
Sweet.
All the same stuff we talked about last week.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay, I think that's everything. So if anybody has any questions, if you want to reach out to us, if you want to have anything covered in the podcast, if you like that we talked about nutrition, anything, give us feedback on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. You can go to the bottom of the homepage. There's a contact form there. And then also we have a podcast player on the website that goes back 300 episodes. I know on Apple Podcasts you can only go back 100 episodes. Mm-hmm. So if you have trouble finding some older ones, you can go onto our website. And then we also have instructions under that podcast player on how to find even older episodes. With 2,000 of these things, there's a lot of really good information out there. So what's fun about the older podcast search is you can just search by term. You can type in protein, you can type in cardio, and all the podcasts that we ever did with that in the title would be in there. So pretty awesome resource if you want to check that out. And then also check out social media channels. We're posting stuff on Instagram and YouTube all the time. So find us and follow us. And if you don't mind, please actually follow, because that helps build the reach of those pages so we can help more people.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, Meredith.
Thank you.
And then, as always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.